questions that we are going to ask about, what happened in the media with like you and Lil Wayne and things like that. Are you prepared?
Yeah, let me hit the bait first. Okay, go ahead.
Denise Bidot, I guess at the time, was the girlfriend, and there was a situation that had happened between them that had circulated the media. But obviously, when it circulated about you and Wayne, she publicly went on the internet and called you a homewrecker. What was your reaction when you first saw that, one? And two, did she ever confront you personally?
Well, number one, you have to have a home to wreck before you're called a home wrecker.
This the kind of beat to go, this the kind of beat to go, this the kind of beat to go, rock, ta, ta.
Welcome back to another episode of the Petty Headquarters. I'm your host, Tiana Lock, and this is
Jesse Strange.
And today we have a very special episode for you guys, as you can see. So we have our special guest here. You may know her from Milf Manor season 2, but her story definitely runs deeper than that, guys. So Lannette West stepped into the house looking for love, ended up confronting patterns, heartbreaks, and very real emotions in front of the world from navigating complicated love and life in the public eye. Her journey is layered, and today we are going to get into all of that, y'all. So please allow me to introduce Miss Lannette West.
Thank you for having me.
Welcome to the Petty Headquarters, Lannette.
Thank you. I'm glad to be here.
Yes. So we are going to just get into these first couple of questions. How are you feeling before we do that?
Oh, I feel great.
Amazing.
Absolutely. I'm in it to win it.
I just want to say before we begin, my mom, she watched the season 2 and she's like, tell Lannette I am a fan of her. I love her. And that out of all the girls in the show, she felt like you had the most self-respect for yourself.
I appreciate that. Thank you very much. Please tell her I said hello and I hope she's doing well.
Yes, ma'am.
And she will see this too. So she's going to appreciate that very much.
Absolutely. Right. Thank you.
So we know that like we did a lot of research and we've seen a lot of how your interviews went with other people and the questions they ask. And we kind of want to like do our own thing here. So we're just going to start it off early and we're going to talk about just like personal early childhood life questions. All right. Okay. So my first question, which is pretty layered.
Yeah, it is pretty layered.
It's pretty layered. Because I know you touched on this a little bit, but just like, how was life growing up? Like, how was childhood for you like?
I mean, it wasn't all bad, right? I tend to focus more on the bad stuff because that's the stuff that lingers and stays with you. But overall, I mean, I had a pretty traumatic childhood. The people that were supposed to love me and take care of me didn't. I mean, I had a roof over my head. I never went hungry, but I never felt safe. And so I guess I lost my innocence very early.
Do you think that has a lot to do with how you ended up, in therapy, they teach you that you mirror a lot of your parents' type of love and relationships. Do you think that had an effect on you as you got older without even realizing?
Oh, absolutely. I was recreating those situations because that's what was familiar to me. It may not have been a good situation, but I was drawn to it because it was familiar and comfortable. And it wasn't until I became aware of that, like the why behind the things I was doing, that only then could I say, oh, I can choose to do something differently. I don't have to just be on automatic pilot and keep recreating the same drama and trauma that I lived through because I didn't want to pass that on to my children. Right. And it was very important to me to do things differently. I wanted this shit to stop with me. I don't want to pass this on, all this generational trauma. Yeah. And as soon as I started asking myself, well, why do I do this? Why am I attracted to men that will not give me what I need to be a better version of myself? Why, and I started peeling back the layers, and it was that in and of itself was traumatic.
Yeah, because you
So
have to confront a lot of the things that you've kind of been avoiding. Did you have to go to
absolutely.
therapy for that, or did you just kind of go through that journey on your own?
Well, I went to rehab for it after I was like real bad into cocaine. I had a horrible about 4 or 5 years where I was reintroduced to cocaine and at a party. It was very innocent. And my addictive personality certainly didn't let me down there. And it wasn't bad at first, right? It's like, occasionally on the weekends. And then over months and years, it escalated to the point that I stopped one day and looked at myself in the mirror in my bathroom and I was like, bitch, if you want to kill yourself, there's a cheaper way to do it.
Yeah, it's
Mhm,
an expensive
mhm,
habit, that's for sure.
It
mhm.
is. It very much is. And so I think that was really the biggest turning point in my life, frankly, because once I got sober, I really started doing the work of uncovering who I was, why I did the things I did, and a better understanding of what happiness really is.
So I wanted to ask you a question because I know in a recent interview you had mentioned your mom was emotionally unavailable, right? And she was a narcissist. So how was that relationship with her? And like, where are you guys now today? Have you established those healthy boundaries with her? Like, walk me through that.
Yeah, I mean, growing up, like I think like most children do, you idolize your parent. And my father was never really in the picture. I
Hmm.
mean, I he left when I was like 5 or 6. I may have seen him a few times when I was young. I don't really recall it. But then he just disappeared entirely. So, I put my mother on a pedestal. I absolutely adored her and I thought she did everything perfectly. But she's human. She didn't. And she did a lot of good things. She wasn't all bad, right? But the bad was just really bad.
Right. Right.
And so when I became a teenager, I think was the first time I started looking at her with more critical eyes. I was like, maybe she's not always right. Maybe there's something else going on here. And I went off to college. I was really ready to get away from her. She was a violent person. She was a very intelligent, hardworking woman, but she had a tongue that could eviscerate you. And of course, any words that come from your mom, I mean, that registers, right? That becomes your own internal voice for yourself.
Right.
And I had a very awful internal language because that's what I had heard, calling me a whore when she found a hickey on my neck. She never called me stupid. She always was like, you're very bright, you're very smart, you'll be able to do whatever you want to do. But just that feeling of worthlessness
Mm.
and embarrassment, that really encapsulate my childhood. Like I just thought I was a bad person. I thought I was unworthy. I thought I was trash because those are the things that she would tell me when she was angry.
Yeah,
And that's
go
hard.
ahead. Sorry.
No, I've said that was hard. And, we had our ups and downs throughout my college years and beyond. She broke contact with me on several occasions, found out I was pregnant with my boyfriend's baby, who's an African American, and she flipped shit on that. Now, granted, I didn't handle the introduction all that well. Long story, I won't digress. But she told me, "You're dead to me. You're dead to me." So I didn't talk to her for like the first 2 years of my son's life. And whatever. And then we reconciled. So it was always this, you're not doing what I want you to do. You're no longer my daughter. Fuck you. Bye. And then cut me off.
Yeah.
And then never apologize. But after some period of time, come back, maybe send me some money, buy me something, and then everything's better again. There's
Right.
never any discussion about what caused a rift. It was just suddenly she'd be nice to me again.
Right.
So I kind of learned to put up a barrier with her because I knew at any moment her love would be taken away. Um,
Right.
she passed suddenly in June of 2019 at the age of
What?
77. Yeah, she did.
Wow.
I was currently in a position where we were no longer talking. She had dismissed me a year prior because I had reconciled and started to form a relationship with my father. And she wasn't really gung ho about that. She felt it was a betrayal to her, which it was not.
Wow.
And so I hadn't talked to her. My phone accidentally, you know how you have the SOS contacts, and if you hit
Hmm.
the power button or something 5 times, it automatically calls your SOS? That happened to me. My phone got stuck under my seat. Anyway, ended up calling her. And I didn't realize it for a little bit. And so I called her. She never called me. I called her and said, Mom, I just don't want you to be alarmed. I'm not injured. Everything's fine. She's like, okay, great. Good to hear. And I was like, okay, Mom, thank you. And that was the last time I ever spoke to her.
Wow. Wow.
Wow.
So this is crazy. So now not only was, there was a narcissistic behavior, but there was also like that emotional immature behavior as well.
Oh,
which
unstable, right?
yeah, which in unstable like environments and things like that. And I'm seeing a pattern. It makes me wonder too, like, what did she experience when she was younger to transfer down the same thing to you? And I'm happy that you made it a point that this ends with me. Like, I'm not bringing this, because it takes some people never learn that, and I'm like very happy that you took the time, you put in the work, to learn that.
Yeah, and that's what I was gonna go back to saying. I remember my question now. So like I noticed that a lot of the similarities where, as a kid, when you're being told that you're a bad kid and you're just a bad seed or you just do bad things, you were just born that way, when really it's a matter of being misunderstood and not listened to. And so sometimes what I've learned is that as a kid, because it's easier to just fit the picture rather than explain yourself, you end up doing those things, which explains, like, so I have an addictive personality, so I could relate to a lot of what you're saying because, your whole life you're known as the kid that doesn't listen, the kid that just does bad things, and and you just do it. You're like, yeah, I'm a bad kid anyways. You're told that you're bad, so might as well be, right? It's just easier to be that than to have to explain that, or maybe you don't even realize as a kid that you're just not being listened to or being misunderstood.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, children need to be seen. They need to be heard. They need to understand that they have value, that their opinions count. And, I'm Gen X. We grew up at a time where, we didn't get a lot of parenting, and what we did get was usually bad.
Right.
So she did the best she could with what she had. And that's kind of how I come to have a peace about it, because you're right. She was absolutely traumatized in her life, her whole life. In fact, when I heard that she had passed away, I didn't cry. It was almost a sense of relief, because I'm like, God, that, her miserable, unhealthy, vindictive, controlling life is over, and she's free of that now.
Yeah. Yeah.
I was almost, I don't want to say happy about it, but I was relieved that she is at peace now.
Right. I have a question. So when you mentioned that she was upset with you after you had your first son, right? Was it because you had a kid and she didn't know, or was it because you had the kid with a Black man? Or is it both?
Both.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah. She did not. I grew up in Western North Carolina in the Appalachian Mountains.
Right.
I wasn't exposed to other people. I mean, there was one Black girl in our class, but I wasn't very close with her. So I never spent any time even talking really to anybody other than white people.
Right.
I was very sheltered. And then I went to Carolina. I went to the University of North Carolina in Chapel Hill. And that's where I met my ex-husband. And he was literally the first man I ever talked to, I ever touched, I ever had any kind of relationship with. And, I was in love from the moment I saw him. And the second thought the first thought was, I'm going to marry that man. The second thought was, oh my God, my mom's going to kill me.
Yeah. How was it growing up in North Carolina and just being in that environment? Like you said, you were very sheltered, right? That was the first guy you've been with, period. Where did you meet him? You said college, high school, college, right?
Yeah.
So by UNC. College was when you were finally experiencing different things with relationships, romance, sex, and intimacy and all of that. How was it growing up and then going into this new lifestyle in college?
It was wonderful. It was, it was an awakening, because I can remember one time I was talking to a girl from India. I think she was one of our suite mates. And we made some comment about peanut butter and jelly sandwiches. And I was like, yeah, I was raised on that. And she was like, me too. I love them. And I was like, huh? I was like, that doesn't track. And she's like, yeah. And I can remember thinking immediately, oh my God, we are all more alike than we are different.
Right.
It drove that home. And, all these preconceived notions that I had about people from different cultures and different races was mostly created by the images I saw on TV.
Right.
And that's so inaccurate, because those other cultures and people weren't represented well on TV, if at all.
Right.
So it really was, going to college was really an awakening for me. Now, I partied like a rock star. Okay. I never went to class. I don't know really how I graduated, to be honest with you, but it really was just having the opportunity to see people from different parts of the world, respect the differences, and realize again, we are all so much more alike than we are different.
Right.
That's nice that college did that for you. And I can see that because college always has like international kids come around. And so that's really cool that, you know, you were able to open, you know, and take it in that way. Because there's some people that never get out that bubble and they continue to, you know, be closed-minded and stuff like that. But I know that you said that you reconnected with your father. How was that? What was the hardest part about like reconnecting with your dad? I can imagine after so long of not seeing him, it was a lot, right?
Yeah, because my earliest childhood memory of my father was of him beating the shit out of my mother in the bedroom with the door closed, and all I heard was screaming and like things breaking. And me and my brother, who's 5 years older than me, we're the youngest two of the five. We're trying to get into the bedroom to like save her. Well, we probably needed to save him too because they gave as good as they got. So it was a very violent, very tumultuous relationship that they had. And so when I went with my mother, you know, all I ever heard about my dad was negative stuff. You know, that he was a monster, he was violent, he wanted to kill her, you know, all these awful things. So in my mind, he became this monster. As a little girl, I plotted my revenge on him, you know, and as I got older, I started realizing, you know what, there's two sides to every story, and somewhere in the middle is the truth. And my mom, the only one good thing about my dad that she would tell me is that he was a really hard worker. And that was the only positive I ever heard about it. And I found myself, you know, later in life, and I was struggling because I was one of those girls with daddy issues, and I was well aware of it. I was looking for validation and acceptance from all these men. I was constantly thriving on attention and making a show of myself. And, you know, that's just not a good, authentic way to be. And so I figured, you know, one way to address this is go to the root of the problem.
Right.
Which is the lack of relationship and love that I got from my father. The one man on this planet that's supposed to love and protect me didn't.
Right.
And so I reached out to him. My brothers had kept in touch with him over the years. So I called one of my brothers, got his phone number, picked up the phone and called him. I just said, "Hi, this is Lannette. Do you have a minute to talk?" And he was just like, "Oh, blah, blah," you know, he's a little shocked. And I just broke it down. I said, "Look, I don't want your money. I don't need anything from you other than your time, love, and attention. And I need you to tell me that you're proud of me." So I was like, "And if you ever raise your voice to me or my children, you will never see us again." And I was like, "Can you do that? Can you do that, Dad?" And he broke down in tears. And he was like, "Of course I can do that. Please let me do that."
Wow.
And so, yeah, so it healed, you know, it was 45 years later. I hadn't seen him for almost 40 years.
Wow.
So, yeah, and you know, we keep in touch. I mean, we're not like joined at the hip or anything.
Right.
I mean, he's 82. He still works. You know, that hard worker thing. Yeah, he's in construction and building and all this stuff. I mean, he has kind of a cush job now, but yeah, he's getting up there, and it's been a real awakening for me too, just understanding how important that relationship with your dad is, because the rest of the stuff that I was doing before, like always needing to go be on a date, I always needed a boyfriend, I needed somebody to give me attention, all that dissipated. Like, I don't need that shit now. I walk into a room knowing who I am and what I'm about, and not looking for the validation from other men or other women. And it really helped heal that.
Wow. I appreciate you sharing that. I know it can be a lot to talk about things like that. So I appreciate you sharing that. So going back to college, you said you would party a lot. Is that where you feel like, because I know nobody starts off like, yeah, I'm gonna be an addict, right? It just kind of happens, right?
It's not the goal.
Right. It's never the goal. People don't realize that it just kind of happens over time. And I don't even think the addict realizes until it's kind of gone, or you kind of just start to feel like you need it, where you're just like, oh shit, I'm kind of in a pretty shitty situation. Do you think it started from all the partying in college, or did it start prior?
Well, I think it's all rooted in my childhood trauma. I was running from it because I was constantly on the go. I was constantly doing things. I was constantly trying to distract myself from the miserable human being that I was. And as I aged and got older, it's really interesting though. I did cocaine like a little bit in college, knew I liked it. And then I ended up getting pregnant with my son. And when that happened, I stopped all drugs, alcohol, smoking, everything. Like I literally did a 180. I had just gotten my first corporate job. I'd just gone through the training program and wound up pregnant. And I was like, oh God, they're going to fire me. No, they don't fire you for that. Thank God. And so I just put that part of my life on pause because then, I became the mom. I had a new focus. I became motivated at work and worked really hard and worked my way up and, did really, really well. And then fast forward to 2017, and I was casually seeing this guy who said, hey, let's go to a pool party. It's a house right around the corner from yours. There'll be powder there. I had not thought about cocaine and I had not done cocaine in like some 20 some years.
Wow.
And I remember going, I like that. That's good shit. And, and then again, like I explained earlier, it just gradually took hold. I mean, I would be buying 8 balls and cutting them up going, guys, do y'all think I have a problem?
Right.
You have a problem with coke? As I'm like, and then if you're asking yourself if you have a problem, you have a problem.
Absolutely.
Right.
Absolutely.
Right.
Absolutely.
Right. So did anyone like in your life ever notice like back then or even mid-20s, wherever, like did they notice like that you were struggling? Did anyone try to reach out?
Well, I mean, everybody, at least from my family's perspective, knew I was crazy, right?
Okay.
They knew I had something, I wasn't quite right. And I mean, I always excelled like academically and even athletically, because when you're raised with an achievement-based love model, like you learn to achieve, because that was the only way I could get love and attention from my mother. So I became a chronic overachiever. I didn't just play tennis in high school. I had to win the state championship. I couldn't just be on the tennis team. I had to be the captain. I didn't just have to make an A. I needed to make an A plus. So, in some respects that worked out for me, right? Because that helped me get into Chapel Hill and have opportunities that I would not have otherwise had.
Right.
But, I think anyone that ever came into contact with me prior to my rehab knew that I had a problem. It wasn't always substance. It was, emotional. I just feel a lot. Like my emotions are really big. Mm-hmm. And so I don't know how to process them. They scare the shit out of me. And so I would act out, I would become violent, or I would, totally isolate myself from everybody. And I would always have these really unusual reactions to things that people didn't understand. And no one really like came to rescue me. It was something that I had to decide to do. Through therapy, through medication. I had a diagnosis of bipolar 2 when I was 27 living in DC. And I've had other diagnoses since. Fortunately, it's not the psychotic kind, but there's still pretty serious things that I'm dealing with. And I don't suffer from the delusion that anyone's going to come save me. I firmly know all I've ever needed is me.
Right. So no one tried to reach out because in their head you were just crazy.
Yeah.
So they were like,
she's very crazy. In character.
Yeah. Okay. So
are you still sober from cocaine today?
Yeah, it'll be 4 years this October 23rd. So.
That's amazing. Congratulations. How do you deal with like hard times now? Because I know one of the hardest things, right? When you're an addict, you're emotionally trying to escape. You're escaping and a lot of that stuff. So how do you deal with hard times now being sober? Is there like something that's really helped you that you've learned? Or do you put that addiction into like more like, I guess, healthier ways of dealing with it, right?
Yeah, I mean, I'm definitely a big proponent for therapy. I mean, I've got a addiction therapist, addiction psychiatrist, a life coach, like I've got a team of people, and I'm very blessed that I have the resources to be able to do that. Right. But that's a totally legitimate question. And even as you were asking it, I'm thinking, God, what do I do when I get upset? Like, I don't know. I don't do cocaine, but I'm sure I'm doing something else I'm not supposed to do. I'm totally addicted to nicotine. Like this is a bitch. And I've got to come off
Vape.
this. And it tastes so good. It tastes like strawberry.
Where's my vape?
Yes. And I always have two. I never just have one. I have a
Wow.
primary and a
That's how you
backup.
know.
Yeah, no,
So
it's
you know you got a
true.
problem.
No, it's true though. Like even with like my friends too, same thing. They have two, it needs to be charged. If it's not charged, if they lose it, they're freaking out. Like,
Yeah.
Freaking the fuck out.
yeah, like I'm not gonna lie. I see those videos on Instagram and TikTok where they're like, "Where's my vape? Where's my vape?" And I be cracking up. I can't. But then again, you're right. That is when you know, damn, I need to come off this shit.
Right? It's like, do I have a problem?
Right.
Do you have a problem? Yes, bitch, you have a problem.
Right. And that's how I feel like with a lot of addicts, right? It's not, there's really no cure to the addictive personality. It's just more so where do you use that? Some people resort to food, some people resort to hikes. Like there's this like inside joke where like all the party goers and all the drug addicts are now hikers because it's still
Yeah.
an adrenaline rush, you know?
Or like gym junkies, right? Going to the gym and things like that. Oh
Yeah,
wow,
I would
that's
love to get addicted to going to the gym or doing something that's really healthy for me.
right.
Oh, me too.
Right.
I would
Right.
love that. I'm struggling with that. But no, but to answer your question about what do I do? I mean, I think now I've become very self-aware. And that in and of itself is not the end game, right? Because you have to ultimately change your behavior and become that best version of yourself. And it's a journey, it's not a destination, right?
Yeah.
So I think sometimes I tend to overanalyze myself. I will over intellectualize what I'm doing instead of changing my behavior. Because I'll tell you right now, I'll be doing something fucking crazy and I know it's crazy and I know why I'm doing it and I can't stop myself from doing it, you know? And then I'm like, God, I'm going to have to apologize for this tomorrow, or I'm going to have to do this tomorrow to fix this shit up. But I just keep going.
Yeah.
So it's hard. I mean, it's not an easy thing to do. And I understand why a lot of people don't want to do it. They don't want to ask the question, why do I do the things I do? Because it's layered, it's emotional, it's confusing, it's frustrating, and it's hard.
Yeah, I can imagine it's exhausting.
Yes.
Physically
yes.
and mentally exhausting. That's exactly right.
Mm-hmm.
For sure.
So that leads me to my next question. What would you say, because this kind of like coincides, what would you say was the hardest part in the early stages of sobriety for you?
Thinking that I deserved anything better. Because I think my addiction was really just an accumulation of all the trauma in my life because I was running from it.
Right.
I didn't want to deal with it. I didn't want to stop and think. And cocaine, for those of you who don't know, is a great stimulant. Great in, you know, not good, great, but great as in a lot.
Yeah, hell
And
yeah.
so it gave me the energy to keep running, to keep, like, I was a high functioning addict. I mean, I got promoted at work, you know, I never went to jail. I kept custody of my daughter. But it kept propelling me forward farther and farther away from my hideous childhood. And it wasn't until I finally just stopped and thought to myself, you know, this has got to change. And I exercised some level of compassion for myself, which I had never done prior, ever shown myself any level of grace or compassion. And I did that one day. And then we don't have to go down this rabbit hole, but just some things suddenly were presented to me in my mind, kind of like a PowerPoint presentation of these isolated memories that I had that put together a picture of something really awful that had happened to me as a child. And it's like if I hadn't gotten addicted and gone into rehab, I wouldn't have been able to get to that point in my life where I'm not hating myself completely. And I wouldn't have released that information. And I wouldn't be on this road to, I don't even know what it's a road to, on this journey to like really accept yourself and love yourself and feel joy.
Self-discovery, a new self-discovery.
Absolutely. So in so many ways, I'm grateful, you know, for the addiction and the rehab because it helped me become who I'm supposed to be. I know that sounds weird, but it's true because I wouldn't be looking at myself so critically and trying to understand what I'm doing and have the compassion and the love for myself that I'm finally getting at age, I'll be 53 in a couple of weeks. So, you know, I'm grateful for that because I don't think I would have ever stopped running otherwise.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's not crazy. It's actually, I feel like there are a lot of people that can relate to you in that sense because without all that, like you said, you wouldn't be where you are. And I'll say a high functioning addict is the most dangerous,
Yeah.
the most dangerous, because nothing stops you. The addiction continues to feed those, your levels of achievement, your energy. You're doing all these other things. So it's like it. I feel like being a high functioning addict is a lot harder to come out of rather than
Mhm.
someone who's not so high functioning.
Yeah,
So
because,
that's
absolutely, because it's almost like you can continue to justify the behavior. Like, well,
Yeah.
look how much I'm getting done. I got
yeah.
promoted,
Yeah. Yeah.
it's irrational
Yeah.
and it's not sustainable because there
It's
was going to
not.
be an end game with it. Except, and I didn't want to die. I mean, I did for a long time. I've suffered with suicidal ideations and depression basically my whole life as far back as I can remember. Um, but when you get real with yourself, it's really great how much you can start to understand yourself, love yourself,
Right.
accept yourself.
So I know you mentioned the nicotine now, but I know you're also sober from cocaine. Is there anything else that you're doing, or is it's just cocaine you're sober from? Is that the
Yeah, I mean, I
main?
dream from time to time. Like
Okay.
alcohol, I was an alcohol abuser early in life, right? Like in college, I mean, I could drink most people under the table. So I was an alcohol abuser, not so much an alcoholic. Like
Hmm.
I've never woken up in the morning thinking I need a drink. Um, my addiction was very specific to cocaine.
Okay.
I'm not a weed person either. I don't like the downer stuff, like the
I could
I
tell.
like the stuff that brings you up, you know? So fortunately, I didn't have those struggles. And I've met many people, especially in rehab, that had, alcohol addictions or pill addictions, opioids and stuff. And none of it's neat and clean and tidy when you
Right.
So
start trying to figure it out.
So you think rehab really like is something that you
Mhm.
felt really helped? Because I know that I've gone to an AA meeting before and I didn't really like the
Mm,
environment itself.
same.
Do you, yes, okay, so would you advocate for rehab though? Like is something that helped you or did it make you feel like, I think I'm doing better than a lot of these
No, I get what you're saying though, because I went to NA meeting and I was so triggered I had to leave.
people?
Like I never did those meetings.
Yeah.
Like in rehab, we would do the AA thing, recite whatever the saying is before every meeting and all that. But the rehab that I went to, I think was a little unusual because we called it trauma camp. We didn't talk about our addiction.
Mm,
We talked
that's
about our
cool.
childhood trauma. We
Yeah.
started unpacking the fuel of the addiction. Addiction's
Right.
not the problem. It's symptomatic of a bigger problem. Your
Right.
self-hatred,
Right.
the abuse that you endured. That
Right.
is what needs to be unpacked. That needs to be healed. That needs to be acknowledged. And once you start addressing the real fucking problem, only then does the addiction dissipate. Because then I didn't have anything to run from. I wasn't
Mm,
scared anymore.
right. Right. I
So,
love that they called it trauma camp. That's
yeah,
actually pretty cool because I think by going in deep and realizing what caused this, how did we get here, what's the root, that's when you can really like find yourself and really look yourself in the eye. So I think that that's really cool.
Yeah,
it,
that's
it was a
awesome.
wonderful experience. I mean,
Wow.
I know it's weird to talk about rehab like being so great, but it was transformative for me.
Oh,
And it's a place called the Refuge down in Ocala, Florida. So in case anybody need to look it up, highly recommend it. It's very, very wonderful physical environment. It's like out in the woods. It's very cool.
oh,
Yeah.
wow.
That's
Did,
pretty
did it
cool.
feel like a little like retreat? Like,
Mhm.
okay.
There's no phones. It's all about you. I mean, I felt very guilty. I pushed off rehab for a while because I didn't want it to disrupt my kids' lives so much, because
Right.
they had to stay with their dad and, my job. I mean, I'm very blessed because my employer has been nothing but supportive and kind. And so I've never had to worry about losing my job or anything like that. But,
Great.
rehab, it literally transforms your life.
That's amazing to hear. And I guess that kind of transitions into like the next topic because like I want to get
Mhm.
into the Milf Manor experience. And I know like you had to take some time off
Mhm.
and so there's a lot of times when people go onto reality TV shows and they have a hard time after becoming employed because of being on TV and being on a show. And so your employers knew you went on the show and they had no problems and it was just all good.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow.
I did a conflict of interest inquiry with HR. Because I was compensated for it, and obviously I don't work in that field. Okay, I work in IT cloud services, so I filled out the thing, told them what I was doing. Now, mind you, I didn't know I was going to be on Milf Manor. I was told the name of the show was Northern Love, which is a little better than Milf Manor. It wasn't until when we all thought we were on a show called Northern Love. We had no idea it was Milf Manor until the day before filming when we were in the hotel in Toronto. And the producer came and goes, "Did you want to know what show you're on?" And I looked at him like he was fucking high. I was like, "Yeah, Northern Love. I know what I'm doing." And he was like, "No, you're on Milf Manor season 2." And I was like, "What?"
That's crazy.
Like, what the fuck? And my first thought was, "Yeah, I'm going to get fired." And then I'm like, okay, no. I'm like, it's a very progressive company from Silicon Valley, in California. They're very liberal. And I was like, "No, I'll be fine."
Thank God.
They'll be okay with it. Yeah, no one ever. And when I got back, like my coworkers knew I was gone, but nobody asked me anything about it. Like it rarely comes up. Like,
that's nice.
And I know some of them saw it, and like they may make a vague reference to it or whatever. But it was, no one treated me any different. No one, it was just normal. I just was gone for a month and came back.
That's cool.
I would imagine that if they told you were going to Milf Manor, you would have some type of hesitancy.
Yeah. And
I would not have done it. I'll be honest with you. I wouldn't have done it.
Yeah, and your season, you got lucky it wasn't like your kids coming on, because I know season 1, season 1 it was the moms and their sons, and then now season 2 is the dads and their sons. So yeah, you lucked out with that one. You would have definitely left.
Yeah, because then there were age appropriate men. I was so relieved when they showed up, because I was like, I wasn't connecting with any of the young ones other than in a maternal way.
Right.
I wanted to mentor them. I didn't want to sleep with them.
Yeah, but there were some that were connecting with them too, like in a romantic, intimate way as well.
Yeah, so. I mean, no judgment, but
for sure,
it wasn't for me. It wasn't for me.
Right.
That's so funny. Yeah, go ahead.
So walk us through like your experience on the show, because I know that they had a lot of like questionable challenges, but also like at some point you had left early. It was just like a whole roller coaster of emotions for you, like So let us walk us through that.
Yeah, well, it was filming for a few weeks, so it wasn't really a long duration thing. And every morning we would have to get up early. If we didn't get up, they woke us up, and we had to mic. So we weren't allowed out of our rooms without a mic on. So like we got really close and intimate with the audio people, because they have to like mic you and put it in your bra, or put it in your underwear, or put it in your pants or whatever. So we'd have to get all mic'd up, all dressed up, and then we go down, and then every day it was something new. Like they never told us what was going to happen or what we'd be doing. I mean, we found out when the viewers found out. Like it just happened, and I get why they do that. They like the drama of it all,
right?
The surprise factor and everything. But I mean, it was exhausting, because we would film all day, all evening, and then we would be up until like 2 or 3 in the morning. I think there was one morning I even saw like 3:30 on the clock.
Wow.
And so, there was some alcohol, but it wasn't like a booze fest. You know what I mean? They wanted us to be in charge of our thinking, and they didn't want people vomiting and blacking out. That's not a good look. So they were very tightly controlling our alcohol consumption. So there was minimal for me anyway. They would give us shots of tequila before a new challenge, and I would just, so they would think I took it. And then we would, finish filming, and then it just started all over the next day. I mean, there were no days off, right?
Wow.
Because the clock was ticking, the money was changing, because they've only got this for a certain amount of time. They don't want to pay people overtime, whatever. So we were like in it, get done and get out. And so I left with 6 days still to be filmed. Wow. And when you get up there, the first thing you do, because we were in a hotel in Toronto, because our site was about an hour north of there, they take your phone, your laptop, your passport, your computer, like you have, and they give you a PA's name and number that you can give your family and work if something emergent comes up. But you're totally isolated. And I was in the hotel room by myself watching TV for like 2 days. I mean, we were doing interviews and crazy stuff in between, but I didn't have any contact with the other cast members. I knew one of the other cast members because she was a friend of mine, and she's actually, I gave her name to the casting director, and she ended up being cast too. So I knew I would know at least one person. So when we meet for the first time, that's legitimately us meeting for the first time. So, and I think a lot of people think that things are scripted, and I can honestly say, I don't know if anybody else can, but for myself, my words were my words.
Right.
Nobody
right.
told me what to say or what to do. Now,
Yeah.
did a producer say, hey, Lannette, Anthony's in the realty room with Rebecca. You might want to go check on that. No, they were getting ready to get a reaction.
Right.
And you can always kind of tell what was hot, because like you would be filming or something or sitting there talking, and the cameramen are there, and then all of a sudden all the cameramen would run. And I'm like, where the hell are they going? Oh, some drama? Okay.
Yeah.
All of them. But so I'm sure there was some guidance there from the producers with storylines or whatever, but I didn't feel overly manipulated or staged or anything. So
what I found interesting was that whenever you talk about production, so we cover reality TV, and how I see production, because I've never been in a reality TV show myself, but how I see them always is, oh, their production, they're shady, they're like not, they're a little messy sometimes. But the way you speak about them, it's very kind of humanize them, I guess, and you don't make them like such the bad guy. So you would say that, production wasn't really shady with you, other than when the stuff you said they wanted a reaction, so they would probably, say this and that. But I find it interesting that you're not really dogging them or.
Oh no. I mean, they're good people. They're just doing their job.
Right.
And
exactly.
And I think one of the producers in particular, he was really trying to give me a heads up about Anthony, because I was all in,
Yeah.
and I don't do anything half-assed, whether I'm doing a lot of coke or I'm just doing my job. Like, I'm doing it to the nth degree. So I was all in on Anthony, and we would do these like outtakes. Like if something would happen, they'd pull you outside and do like this 101 or with you. And that was the one where I first cried, because I was like, oh my God, what if he's not being genuine? Like, it didn't even occur to me up to that point that he was lying to me, because I take people at face value. I think what they say is what they mean. And he was kind of like, and kind of guiding me away from that. So I think in some ways he was really trying to even protect me from some of it. So
I can see that.
I have no ill feelings toward production. I keep in touch occasionally with one of the executive producers, and
that's nice.
I think they are very professional, and I respect the work that they do, because this team is the team that does like The Bachelor, The Bachelorette, The Golden Bachelor.
Okay, yeah.
Peter Geist was our showrunner, so I think they did an exceptional job, especially when you look at season 1.
Yeah. It compared to season 1, it was definitely a little bit more. They learned from season 1. So I guess like my next question for you would be, I know you mentioned Rebecca, you mentioned, Anthony and all of that. I guess, why did you ever confront Anthony at any point in time during the show? No. Okay.
I'm not a confronter. I just reward you with my absence.
Right.
I get the fuck out. And that's exactly what I did.
Yeah.
And interestingly enough, when everybody got out, once filming was done, he FaceTimed me, and he said, "You're the first." I said, "I just got my phone back. You're the first person I'm FaceTiming." And I was like, "Oh, I still feel so special."
For what?
Yeah, he was like, "Are you okay?" Blah, blah, blah. And we were talking. He's like, "I really want to see you. I want you to come up to the shore and spend a weekend."
What?
He's like, we were picking dates, and he was telling me which airport to fly into. And I finally, like, we were just going back and forth, and I said, "Okay, well, just tell me, dates. Like, I'm free this weekend. Just pick a weekend." And then he ghosted me, and I never heard from him again.
Okay, so that's that's really wild, considering everything that he already did on TV and like how you felt and the emotional breakdown that you went through, and then the audacity to call you and say, "I want to see you again," but then never follow up. So now my next question, do you think you were getting real Anthony, or you were getting like TV Anthony, like he was doing all this for cameras and a storyline?
I mean, I think he kind of went back and forth
Okay.
between being himself and maximizing the drama for the sake of the show.
Okay.
But I think, you know, a lot of his natural personality definitely was there. I mean, he's a very charismatic guy. I mean, he's an easy
Right.
guy to like, you know. But yeah, I mean, it's like Lannette, when people show you who they are the first time, fucking believe it.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah.
100%.
I
I'm
keep
surprised
giving
you
people
continued after
chances.
that.
Right. Me
Well,
too.
now y'all, I didn't know all the shit was going on with him and Rebecca. I didn't know until the show aired.
Oh. So Kelly didn't tell you?
I had no idea. I mean, I knew that he was obviously like moving in her direction. I had no idea about the paint and like when he was like kissing her ass or something. And I had no idea he had that much interest in her because he's telling me, you know, I just like you. You're amazing.
Yes.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
You know, start yelling at things on
Exactly.
here. And so, you know, he's just like, he's like, you know, I wanted to ask you out on the date, but the producers made me take her. Like, just
Yeah, like
lies.
bold face, just like back and forth lies for sure. Bold
Yeah. So,
face.
but again, I don't think he's a bad guy. I think
Right.
he was playing the game that he
Player,
needed to play.
player. Yeah.
I mean, you know, and he's a good person, I'm sure. I just, you know, it wasn't a good fit with me.
Right. So when you left the show early, do you think that the situation with Anthony kind of like triggered some traumas for you?
Of course. Absolutely, without a doubt. I was so triggered that night. And I had a couple glasses of wine, so I was
Um,
definitely speaking more freely than I normally would.
mhm.
But yeah, it just immediately took me back to my childhood of feeling unwanted, unloved, not enough.
Mhm.
You
Mhm.
know, that no one's going to choose me. And
Oh,
it was hurtful, and it really makes me come to terms with the fact that, you know, I'm not young anymore. I'm
right.
53. You know, the likelihood of me finding a life partner at this point, the odds are not in my favor. And so I was still struggling with the idea of growing old alone. And so, I mean, I still struggle sometimes with that, but now I'm more like, I like being alone. I'm
Right.
a
Yeah.
pretty
Right.
cool fucking person to hang out with. You know, like I have a good time. I don't need somebody else to
Yeah.
make me happy or to complete me. I'm a complete whole person myself. You know, I got a great job. I make, you know, money, and my kids are healthy and smart and beautiful. I mean, like I have so many other things to be so grateful for. I'm not going to harp on the one thing in my life that maybe
Yeah.
isn't perfect.
And that's kind of a great place to be because I know for, it's hard to get to that place. So that's nice that
It is.
you were able to get to that point. I am curious though, because you are like about my mom's age and it's interesting because you guys didn't grow up in a time of social media where it was as big as it is now. So I can imagine like bring me to like just bring me through what it's like to be someone at 50 going into a reality TV show, not knowing the repercussions. Like I can imagine, was there some type of embarrassment of like having that on TV and then social media making it bigger than what, having it go viral and stuff like that? Describe as someone who's older who didn't grow up in that time, having to learn that in real time.
Absolutely. Because I mean, all of this is new to me. Like, I've never been on TV. I've never done anything like this. This is completely out of scope for me. And you have to realize, too, that we filmed in September of 2023. The show was in post production for like 9 months and didn't come out until I think it was the end of March, 1st of April, or end of April, 1st of June. I can't, maybe sometime in that time frame. So I had 9 months to sit there and go, oh my God, what are they going to show? Because we didn't
Yeah.
know. Like, we
Yeah.
didn't know what was going to happen till the
Yeah.
show aired. And I'm like,
Crazy.
how are they going to frame it? Like, what did I say? Like, I
Yeah.
said a lot more. I said a lot of shit. And I will say, I think the producers and the editors were very kind to me because I think they made an effort to like show my better stuff. Because, you know, I think they were sympathetic and they kind of wanted me to be a more likable character, you know, as opposed to like
Wow.
somebody like Kelly. So
Yeah.
yeah, it was very perplexing. And then at some point I was like, you know, fuck it. This isn't my livelihood. It's not affecting my job, my money, my life. Like I can
Right.
just turn the TV off. I can just not watch TikToks or something. So, but there was a lot of anxiety there for a while, for sure.
And the criticism,
there.
how did you handle the criticism? I could imagine.
Well, a lot of the criticism I actually agreed with
Oh,
because
okay.
I would get comments like, that bitch needs therapy. I'm like, okay, overstate boundaries. Like, no shit, Sherlock, really? Like, or they would say, you bet, whatever, you're too emotional. I'm like, guys, I'm crazy and I got the paperwork to prove it. So there's really nothing more that you could say to me that I haven't already said to myself or
Right.
already been told by others. So,
Right.
and then I realized too, when people like take shots at you or degrade you, they're saying more about themselves than they are
Mm-hmm.
about you.
Mm-hmm.
Because it means that shit's top of mind for them because I am what you think you are, what you think I am.
Yeah,
You see what I'm
100%.
saying? Because
100%.
you've
Yeah.
got that on your mind because you're worried about yourself being it. So that's why
Yes.
it's so readily available to toss out onto someone else.
Yes.
So,
Exactly.
so I don't give a shit. I'm like, whatever. Freedom of
Look,
speech.
right. Looking back, do you, after watching the show after it came out, do you wish that there were some things that you would have handled differently or you would have just done everything the same?
I mean, honestly, I'm glad that I left. I really
Okay.
am because emotionally and physically and mentally, like I was tapping out because
Right.
I was taking my meds and all of that, but it was just lack of sleep, lack of food. Because you're always in this state of anxiety. Like I wasn't eating right, I wasn't sleeping right, and I'm not young anymore. Like when you get older, that shit affects you. And
Yeah.
so it really was time for me to leave. I had had enough. And in retrospect, I think that was the right way to go. Now, did I have to be quite so dramatic and, and do all of that? No, but that's very typical in that. So I probably wouldn't have done it any other way.
Yeah, I was gonna say when you were describing like the 3 weeks, it sounded very fast paced and very anxiety driven. It sounded chaotic. So I can imagine. Do you think that being in front of the cameras and being in that, fast paced life also contributed to that breakdown? Like,
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. It just uncovered things that I still need to work on for sure. Because I shouldn't have gotten that upset about it. Let's be honest, right?
Mm,
But it wasn't just about a rejection or a potential rejection from one man. It reignited a lifelong existence of rejection by men and dealing with those underlying feelings of I'm not enough. I'm
right.
trash. I'm not attractive. I'm dumb. I mean, these are all the things that always scrolled through my head. I would look in the mirror and be like, oh God, you're so gross. Like, oh my God, you're fat. Oh my God, you're too thin. Oh my God, your hair looks like shit. Like there was a constant critique of myself, playing over and over and for decades. Like this
Right.
is ingrained in my brain. And so
right.
that's why I was so sensitive to it
Mm-hmm.
That
because
makes
it just
sense.
reignited all of it.
It makes sense given like again, with like you sharing your past and like, from not being enough when your father wasn't there and then your mom, saying words that, not encouraging words, and then you compensating for it by being an overachiever. I mean, it makes total sense now knowing
Mm-hmm.
your past, why that would. Because if someone's just watching the show and they're just looking at you, they're just like, okay, she's being
Yeah.
rejected. That's so extra. But when you know,
I've been called extra a lot.
Yeah.
it's okay. Extra is good.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So it seems like leaving the show was an empowering moment for you, for
Mm-hmm.
sure. So do you think that, I guess, being on this reality TV show kind of like forced you to look at yourself instead of hiding from certain versions of yourself?
Oh, wow. That's a really good point. That's a great question. It really is because I sometimes, as real as I can be, I'm not always real with myself, and I really had to kind of take a step back and again ask why. Why do I behave the way I behave? Like, how can I not only why, I mean, understanding and acknowledgement is one step, but changing the behavior.
Right.
I'm like, Lannette, you had to get up on national TV. I mean, I have people from Brazil and like all over the world that like DM me. And I'm like, where is this show filming? Like, is it everywhere? Like, did I have to do it on such a big stage? And then I think, quite frankly, yeah, because that's in keeping with me. Like
Yeah, I was gonna
everything's
say in
extra.
character for
Mhm,
sure.
mhm,
Yeah.
mhm.
So I'm like, well, this is consistent at least. But I think it did kind of help me along the way, with my journey of understanding and changing behavior and trying to be a better version of myself.
Right.
For sure.
Right. So I know on the show you also mentioned that you always fall for the fixer-uppers. You like a fixer-upper, right? Do you think that your experience from this show, can we say that we are done with the fixer-uppers? We're done, period.
Done. I am
Okay.
no longer part of the construction crew.
Thank
Yeah.
God. Thank God.
And
I'm
and
rooting
it's
for you.
thank you. Well, it's because like I'm a whole person. I mean, I'm getting there, right? And like I want another whole person to show up.
Yes,
And
exactly.
it's kind of arrogant, frankly, of myself to think that I can fix people. I mean, like, fuck, if you can't even fix yourself, why did I think I could fix other
Right,
people?
right.
Right.
Hey,
Like,
there's
that's
a
not
little bit of
consistent.
narcissism in that.
Right.
I agree. And I think so also, I think it was a way for me to prove, see what a good person I am. I'm not evil. I'm not bad, like I've always been told my whole life. I'm helping them. There was some, like secondhand something going on there, but
Yeah.
I still have compassion for people. I still want to help people, but I don't see it as my responsibility anymore. And I'm
Yes.
getting really good at like putting up boundaries and telling people who do not add anything to my life, fuck off. Like,
Period.
I'm done with you. And
I
sometimes I
love
don't even
that.
give them an explanation. I just block them.
Yes, as you should.
Yeah. I'm like, if you don't elevate me, then you're no longer
Right.
part of the story.
Right.
So I just block you, and then I don't owe them anything.
Right. Yeah, and I'm happy you said that because I feel like there are so many women that don't get to your point where they learn that about themselves, where they do the internal work. So they continue making these same mistakes, ending back in the same situation. And they're like, why me? Why me? But it's like, look at yourself, look at me, look at the internal part first. So I'm happy that you are done with the fixer uppers because I can't.
Right.
So now my other question for you is now currently in your life, like how do you define intimacy like with
Mm.
relationships?
I'll be honest, it's something I still struggle with. I don't have a boyfriend. I'm not looking for a boyfriend. Like, and then like the whole hormonal component of this shit, like where your
Mm-hmm.
libido takes a vacation and she
Yes,
That's
just
very
right?
hasn't
true.
come back.
That is very
I'm
true.
like, I'm good without a man, frankly.
Right, right.
So I don't really worry about that intimacy, but I think I'm preparing myself to be able to have the capacity to be more intimate once I can get a little farther down the road in this journey.
Right.
But it's not something I'm actively seeking out. And intimacy doesn't always have to be with, a romantic partner. It can also be
Mhm.
with your friends and with yourself,
Absolutely.
and
This is
so
true.
I have a very very small circle of people in my life. I mean, I'm talking less than five, and I am very vulnerable to them because I trust them and they trust me. So, and with respect to that, I think I'm doing well with some intimacy, but it continues to be difficult for me, for sure.
Okay, so I know you said you're not dating, you're not looking for anybody. That's that.
Mm-mm.
I guess like what would now that you are in this healthy place, right? What are your non-negotiables? And that could be for friendships, that could be for relationships, because I feel like we all kind of have those relationship factors, but we kind of have to set boundaries and we fail to do that. So I guess what are your non-negotiables now when dealing with anyone?
I don't want to get political,
Okay.
uh, but people that don't align with my views on the world,
Mm-hmm.
um, that's a hard stop for me because
Okay.
it's not about politics anymore. It's
Right.
about humanity or lack
Yes.
thereof.
Yeah.
Yes.
And I'm beyond wanting to hear an argument for the other side because there is no legitimate argument that could justify what some people are doing in this world.
Yeah.
So that is a hard stop. And it's not like every time I meet someone, I'm like, hey, who'd you vote for?
Yeah.
It comes out pretty quickly and pretty clearly.
It does.
Right.
It does.
And then I'm able to just like exit stage left. Like those kind of people just don't get my attention. Like
Yeah.
I just can't even go there.
That's a good non-negotiable.
Mhm. So
Yeah,
now
and it's not that I don't respect other versions or other opinions or other
Right.
perspectives. I do. But there are some things that are not ambiguous, in my opinion.
I agree. I agree. I agree wholeheartedly. And when you're not open to conversations or you're not able to even get like there are some people that can't even get to the point where they can agree to disagree. So,
Yeah.
and you see a lot of common on whatever side. There's,
Yeah.
those type of people, on whatever side it is, it's just like, okay, well, we don't need to be having conversations.
Right. Right.
Well, if
It's
you're
so
not the guy, you've got to be the kind of person though to know that you don't know everything. Like
right.
if I get new information, I will certainly change my opinion on something.
Right.
Correct.
And I have that flexibility. Those that don't, that's a red flag.
Oh, big red
Yeah.
flag.
And you see that a lot of time too, like on the internet, the way people comment on certain things, the way they'll just run with things. And then there's never just like a healthy discussion on something. It always has to be just like a really negative bashing type of commentary instead of us just going back and forth having a simple debate about something. Like, why did you have to
Right.
come for like my looks or something? Like, I don't know. Like, you know what I mean? Like
It's
things that have nothing to
distraction
do with the
because
conversation.
exactly, it's distraction because they don't
Right.
have anything of value
Yes.
or relevance to provide. So
Right.
they go to something to try to elevate your emotional state. And
Exactly.
it's like it's such a childish way
Yeah.
to
And that's
have
what happens a lot too. Like the more you're in the public eye and you're in the limelight and people are seeing you and, then they're just running with different things. And that definitely transitions us now into this next stage of questions that we are going to ask about, what happened in the media with like you and Lil Wayne and things like that. So, yes, ma'am. We are going to get into that now. Are you prepared?
Yeah, let me hit the bait first. Okay.
So I did see the story about how he DM'd you. You weren't sure. You thought this was like a scam. Then you thought it was like his PR team, and you wasn't sure it was him. Then he gives you the number and you FaceTime him and he shows it's him. Now I'm curious to know because you said you're from North Carolina, small town vibes, never really got out until college. And you didn't even know who Lil Wayne is, which is crazy because I mean, that's Lil Wayne, you know what I mean? So it's like explain, like just describe the experience because I would imagine maybe a little bit of culture shock, a little bit, right? Or like just a totally different lifestyle. How is that going from like knowing what you know and then you're with Lil Wayne? Like how does that feel?
Yeah, like getting flown out, like
It was very bizarre. I can say though that he's such an incredibly bright and intelligent. I mean, he's a prodigy, and he's a little eclectic. But just with me, he was very down to earth. He was relatable in some ways. He's just a very kind natured person, which I think that kind of caught me off guard a little bit. He's a very expressive person, which that didn't surprise me. But I had never listened to his music. I couldn't even name a song of his or an album. I mean, I know the Carter 6 because there was all the hubbub about it coming out, and I didn't know there was a Carter 5 or a 4. I didn't know, and maybe that was part of the appeal on his side because I didn't fangirl him. I wasn't like, oh my god, oh my god. I was just like, I treated him like a normal person because I'm like, the music, that's what you do. That's not who you are.
right.
So I'm here to find out about who you are, and but that's one of the ways he expresses himself, and he shared some of it, and it was just a neat experience. And obviously, yeah, there were some things that let's be honest, he was a little out of touch. Like I was on a commercial flight, and he's like, I don't know if he was in the air or on the ground, and he's like, call me, and I was like, dude, I'm not on a private plane. Like I can't just call you. Like I can text, but I cannot call you. And so that was kind of like certain things like that would come up. But yeah, I mean, I have nothing negative to say, but there is a fundamental incompatibility between us that,
Of course.
yeah, I mean, I'll consider him a friend, certainly.
Now, like so I know that when the story got out, you were at a bar and you just told a stranger the story and then they aired out your business. Is that how it went down?
Mhm.
Yeah, more or less. I had been stood up that night. Or maybe the guy came and saw me and left. I don't know. So I was sitting at the bar, and I was a few drinks in, and I don't know. I honestly don't remember. It wasn't like I was just blurting it out.
Right.
Not what I lead with. And maybe a song of his came on or something came up, and I was like, yeah, I know him. And she was like, no, you don't.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, okay. And she's like, do you know? And she was a huge fan, so she would not let it die.
Oh,
And
wow.
That makes a lot of sense. Like, what are the
I was
odds?
like, yeah, I can call him right now. Yeah, I was like, I'll call him right now. So it kind of was like an ego thing. Like, fuck you don't believe me? Well, let me show you, bitch. So I FaceTimed him, and he answered. And he was like, hey, babe, what's up? And I'm like, see, bitch? Hey, what's up? And he was in the middle of something. So we talked for like maybe 30 seconds or a minute. And then, she's recording me talking to him and stuff. And, I wasn't necessarily discreet about it. And, because that's new to me too. Like, I didn't know that maybe I should be put, because I was kind of like, ooh, feeling picked, I was like, ooh, feeling special. And so I kind of wanted some people to know about it. And I guess I was fangirling at that point. But anyway, so, I didn't make a big deal about it because I don't think that people would look at it. And I guess it did kind of catch on, and some people found out. And, he wasn't too happy about it. So I from that point forward, I don't post anything about him. I don't talk about him, like sitting at a bar or anything.
Right.
More respectful.
I was thinking about it like that, right? Because going back to being like, you're older, didn't grow up in social media. So who you're not thinking like this one person here is going to post it on the internet and it's going to catch traction. Like, who's thinking like that?
No idea. No, I did not. Yeah, I wasn't thinking through what I was doing that far. You're right, because I didn't grow up with it. So I don't think that would ever happen to me.
Right. I am curious to know though. So like, I know that when I found it, and this is just my opinion, I know it's not a reflection of how you view Lil Wayne, but I did find it weird, right? Because like on the show, you look like you were going through shit, and you look like you were like in a vulnerable place emotionally and like in your personal life. And so I kind of side-eyed the fact that when I was like doing research that Lil Wayne went into your DMs and said you were his character, his favorite, like, on
the show.
Castmate on the show, because, and it's not no judgment on the fact that you're not personable, because obviously you are. You're very, personable, very charismatic, very entertaining. But I found it weird because you were also the only one that kind of had like a mental breakdown and left early. And then I just wonder, like, for me, and if you don't feel comfortable answering, that's totally fine. But for me, it just felt like, there are some men that, whether they realize it or not, they kind of like when they see somebody in a vulnerable place, and they like to take advantage of that, or find it, maybe it's easier, or maybe maybe they have a savior complex. Whatever their reasoning is their reasoning. But I did find it kind of odd, especially because like he's married, right? And has his own thing. And
not anymore. No.
Oh, he was not anymore.
No.
Well, but I found it kind of like interesting. Like, why was she your favorite? Like, was it because she was vulnerable? I don't know, but I don't know. Yeah. I did find that kind of like a side-eye moment for me.
No, that's totally legit. I'll be honest, that's not something I necessarily thought of that way. That's a very good point. And I don't know, it was so much that he was taking advantage, but maybe he saw some familiar things going on there. Because we have had some talks about things, and as much as we are different, we're alike, as far as some of the experiences, early in life. So maybe that's what he connected with. I never ever felt taken advantage of, or exploited. And I told him, I was like, look, I was like, I hear about these girls that get flown out, these Instagram girls, and then like the guy gives them like $15,000 or something. I'm like, look, I'm not here for your money. You ain't got to buy me a Chanel bag. Like, if I want a Chanel bag, I'll go buy my own fucking bag. Like, I don't need that shit from you. I was like, I'm here to get to know you, the person. Your money's great, but I don't give a fuck how much money you got. Unless you want to give it all to me, then I'll care. But if your money's your money, it has nothing to do with me.
I'm sure that has something to do with the appeal towards you as well. Like, you treated him like a normal human being.
Right.
I tried to, I really did. I did.
So going back to that situation that happened at the bar, Do you regret FaceTiming him or no? You're just like, no,
No.
fuck you, bitch. Okay.
No, she was a nice girl. Like there was no, that was just me being on probably an ego trip. And because it's kind of like, when something really big's going on in your life and you can't talk about it, you feel like you've got this secret. And sometimes it kind of just comes out because, if it's especially if it's something you're excited about, you kind of want to share it with people. And yeah, in retrospect, probably not the best way to go about it. Because see, he's not on social media, so he didn't see any of that. It was another girl that told him about it. So I'm like, and then he's like, take down all your stuff, and I'm like, well, first of all, bitch, you don't get to tell me what to do.
Right.
I will do it because now I understand how you feel about it. I will have to do that and be respectful of your privacy. And I apologize to him for putting his shit out there like I did. And I said, I'm really sorry. I'm kind of new to this. Like, can I get a pass? And and he was very he was nice about it, but he was very emphatic. Like, no, that won't happen again.
Yeah. So do you think like that whole situation that definitely taught you something just about like dating and privacy and things like that, especially with you being on the show and then social media just dragging things and you not being used to social media and now you're exposed in this new light? You definitely, okay, got it.
It's a lot. It's a lot because I still think of myself as this little small town girl from Western North Carolina. Like, who gives a shit about me? Like, why do people want to know what I'm doing? It's flattering, and it's validating to some degree. But there's so much more to my life and who I am than that.
Right. Right, for sure.
Yeah, didn't that with Denise Bidot?
Yeah, like so this whole thing, right? Yes, we have the right. You see, I see the eye roll. You already know.
Girl.
Yes. So Denise Bidot, I guess at the time was the girlfriend, and there was a situation that had happened between them that had circulated the media. But obviously, when it circulated about you and Wayne, she publicly went on the internet and called you a homewrecker. What was your reaction when you first saw that, one? And two, did she ever confront you personally?
Well, number one, you have to have a home to wreck before you're called a homewrecker. Number two, no, she never confronted me personally, but some of her followers DM'd the hell out of me. Number three, I don't know how the hell she found out because I was literally in the air on my way to LA. And then it was like, if they could have turned the plane around, they would have. So I was flabbergasted because I was like, why is she trying to call me out? And then she went on to say a bunch of things like, I have nothing. I don't know.
That have nothing to do with you. Right.
Yeah. None of that has anything. I mean, there was no illusion of monogamy.
Right.
Like, I'm like, are you late to the show?
So she didn't understand the assignment.
Yeah.
But I did.
Crazy. That's crazy.
Yeah. And yeah, I think, yeah, anyway, it was a very upsetting time for me because it was something I wasn't prepared for. And yeah, in Wayne's side, that just went quiet. So I didn't really have a lot of guidance on how to deal with that. And the way I deal with things like that is I isolate. I self-isolate. I push people away because it's like I've got to deal with all the emotion by myself. Like I was never comforted as a child. I was ridiculed for emotion. So I would always hide because part of it is that I don't want people to see what I may go through because it ain't pretty, and I don't like people seeing that, broken side of me. Like I need to do this in private. And so that was a tough plane ride home the next day. So it's really unfortunate that things happened that way. It was unfortunate that it was shared so publicly when I think stuff like that really is between individuals that need to be, communicating directly. I think it's easy to point the finger at somebody else.
Right.
But at the end of the day, I'm only accountable for my behavior.
Right.
Right.
So I guess now that, that's out the way, like, how was your time with Wayne? Was it more like fun, chaotic, emotional, or was it just like down to earth, chill?
Yeah, it was pretty chill.
Okay.
It was pretty surprising.
Okay.
I mean, I have nothing bad to say about the guy. He's a great
Yeah.
guy. He's interesting. He's talented. His mastery of the English language is amazing.
He's very smart.
He really is, and he was at moments surprisingly relatable. And then there'd be something else that'd be like, oh God, you're so out of touch. But but most of the time, I mean, he's just a nice person. He's got a big heart,
Mm-hmm.
So that was kind of surprising. And I mean, there is an element of narcissism there, but I think we all have some level or some characteristics of narcissism.
Right.
That's not a bad thing. But you have to be that successful.
I was gonna say, yeah, when you're that big,
yeah,
it kind of comes with the territory.
Yeah. Oh, you froze.
Nice guy.
Mm-hmm.
What was the last part? Because you froze on our end.
Oh, sorry. I just said, yeah, I said he's a nice guy.
Okay.
I don't regret any of it.
How long were you seeing each other for? Was it long?
Well, what do you define seeing? Like,
hanging out.
Like it would happen, and then it would be maybe a couple weeks, a couple months would go by. We may exchange a few, like it's not like hot and heavy or anything like that. So
right.
It was, yeah, it was, I would describe it as casual and fun.
Okay. And basically all the things that you were saying about him, like the good qualities about him, that's what drew you to him as the person, and not so much because you said you're not there for the celebrity status, you're not there for the money, you're not there for none of that. Just like you're a cool guy, and that was it.
Yeah, I mean, well, he does kind of fit my demographic because like black dude, dreads, that's appealing.
That's your type.
Successful. Yeah, that's my type. So from that standpoint, it's not totally out of character, but and also there was a curiosity that I had about somebody that lives so big.
I can imagine.
This is so cool, and anyway, yeah, I just I'm afraid to say too much.
No, I understand. I understand. Well, that wraps up the questions on. Did you have any more questions on that or no? You good? All right, cool. So now that we have went through your entire journey from early childhood to the show, to your sobriety, to the limelight, social media, public eye bullshit, right? Today, what does a healthy love look like for you today? Maybe that you didn't understand before.
Like a romantic?
Yes.
It's me being whole and the other person being a total grown-up whole person too.
Okay.
Now, obviously you're going to grow together, but it's like I'm looking for someone at that same like mental or emotional maturity state. Now, I'm not saying I'm emotionally mature because I still like act out like crazy, but I need to see someone at least at my level. I'm tired of looking for people that are beneath my level of progress or journey. I'm not saying I'm better. I'm just a little farther down the road.
Right.
So I need somebody who's kind of in the same space as me, and this whole, what do you bring to the table? Fuck that shit. I got my own table. I don't bring anything to the table. I built the fucking table. So I'm not worried. I think they need to be like somewhat in the same socioeconomic bracket that I'm in.
Yeah. Agree.
And they need to add value to my life, and they need to not take something away from it.
Right.
And I think that's what like romantic love looks like for me currently.
Do you think that being on TV, well, not do you think, did being on TV open doors for you that you didn't think would be open, or did it just kind of go and then it left?
Yeah, it just kind of came and went. I mean, I did do a lot of podcasts, and that was helpful because, the whole being on the reality show thing opened the door for me, right? And then I was able to get in and obviously talk about some of the trauma in my life, and hopefully people could relate and like start normalizing the conversations about things like mental illness and addiction and recovery and childhood trauma. And so I hit that really hard, and then I kind of hit a downslope with my own mental health, and I just had to like pull back for a while. So it did give me some of those opportunities, but I'm not looking to be on like another reality show or do anything like that. What I really want to do is continue to share my story in the hopes that it reaches someone that they can go, well, hell, she went through a lot and she's still smiling. You know, give people hope that it will get better. Don't believe your mind. Your mind will trick you. You know, this too shall pass. And so, you know, I'm not really sure exactly how I need to get that message out better. I mean, I've started writing a book. I mean, if you call it like writing shit down, a book, but I really want to, because my mother gave me a lot of her writings, and I would love to be able to incorporate that into something that I could publish. So
that would be beautiful.
We'll see.
I noticed that you do like doing podcasts a lot. You ever thought or considered doing your own podcast?
I have, but God, I don't know. Yeah, I have. I've had those discussions a lot. I think I just need to have someone help guide me, because I don't even know where to start. You know, I don't even know what the first step is. So if I had like a roadmap or a business plan that I could execute on, I would be more likely, because right now it's just overwhelming. Maybe I need to tap into you.
No, absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely understand. I mean, what a lot of people don't understand is that podcasting is a lot of work. It's a business within itself. So I can understand,
totally imagine.
You know, someone, like I said, didn't grow up with the social media. We produce everything in-house. So if we didn't have that, we'd be lost.
Right.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Yeah. You guys are doing a great job. Happy for you.
Thank you.
Yeah. So I know that you said you were writing a book, like, and you're writing stuff down. Was there a moment where, was there a moment where there was, you know, was there a story or part of your story that was the hardest to put on paper?
The hardest thing because when I was rehab, I did a ton of writing. It was the apology letter to my mother. Like, I apologized to my mother. Wow. And I apologized about my mother. You know, I said, I was able to say the things that I didn't get to say while she was alive. That was hard. I just reread that like a few days ago. And it was like, you know, I'm sorry that you were so hurt. I'm sorry, you know, I won't get into it. It'll make me emotional. Yeah. Yeah, it's my mom.
Yeah, okay. Especially because, again, when she passed away, like, you didn't really, you know, you weren't in terms. So I can imagine that being a big load on that, you know what I mean? Having to do a lot more healing in that sense. But I do appreciate, again, you sharing your story, because it's so, like, your story is a lot more relatable than I'm pretty sure you can imagine. Like, you know what I mean? Like, we all go through our own traumas and our own stuff. And then when you start to speak about it, you realize, like, wow, we're not the same, but we have similarities and experience a lot of similar things. And people hearing your story can be healing. Right. And it's brave to be able to tell your story, because it's not easy, especially, you know, you've been through a lot. So.
Well, I appreciate that. And it's just another example of how we're all so much more alike than we are different.
Right. Bringing that back to the first thing that you said, right? So, like, what's next for you? Like, you know, does it involve business, TV, or even peace? Like, what's next for Lannette West?
God, you know, I used to be really good at setting goals for myself. And then I met all my goals, and I haven't set new ones. So I feel stuck in some ways. So I think really what is in my immediate future is just taking a hard look at, like, where do I want to be in 5 years? Where do I want to be in 10 years? And start establishing those goals so I can start doing the work to get me there. Yeah, it's really like I need to start live intentionally, because right now I'm just kind of like floating through. Everything's comfortable, everything's good. You know, I'm in a very transitionary period because my son's moved out. He's got his own apartment. My daughter is a sophomore at LSU. She'll be, you know, growing up and moving off. And I've really got to redefine what it means to be me, you know, because like, I'm a mom, but they don't need me so much anymore. Right. And that's going to be a really hard transition, because it's like I'm used to being defined as a mom first, right? You know, that being like top of mind. So, and then continuing on this journey, obviously, of self-exploration and self-understanding. I mean, I have so many self-help books I need to read. It's ridiculous. So reading is definitely my future. But I think really just trying to figure out exactly where I'm going to go and how I'm going to get there.
Yeah, that's like learned in therapy recently that it's like that we all go through life cycles, and as a mother, you experience the flying from the nest life cycle where your kids they leave and now you kind of have to redefine what you are as a person and get to know yourself differently because for so long all you were was just the mom and
Mm-hmm.
and it's interesting, like I said, like you are like I think a couple years younger than my mom, and so
Mm-hmm.
a lot of the things that I hear you speaking about, it's so funny that she's, I guess, going through the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly. Exactly. It's like to be a good mom, you've prepared your children to go off into the world. So you literally are teaching them how to leave you.
Right.
And
Yeah.
you can't be selfish in that, right? Because I would love to like move to Baton Rouge and be 2 miles from the campus, but I can't do that. I've got to let her and my son grow and be the people they're supposed to be. And
Right.
so I have to kind of take my foot off the gas and kind of step back and and I'm all about buying their love. But it's like just being that person that can support them when they ask for it and redefining those relationships because it's hard. I mean, that it's such a transition. Sometimes I get it right, sometimes I don't. But yeah, be kind to your mom because it's a real thing and not a lot of people talk about it.
No, they don't, which is why I
Mm-hmm.
said podcasts might be up your alley because
Yeah.
I just feel like you have a lot of important stories and wisdom to
Oh,
share. And like even in
thank
your
you.
journey now, you're learning there's a lot of mothers that, you know, they don't have that outlet to relate to. It's
Mm-hmm.
something that you just talk about and they go through it. I didn't even know it was a thing until, like I said, you learn about it in therapy. When I was in
Mhm.
therapy, that my therapist explained that to me. And I
Yeah,
was just like, oh, I'm not a mom. I'm not thinking like that,
right.
Like I didn't even think it was that deep, but it is. It is.
It is deep.
It
Right. No, but I can
is.
see from your perspective, yeah, it's like, huh? What's the big deal? I moved out. Like, good
Right,
for
right.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
for sure.
Wow.
Well, thank you. I really appreciate getting to know you and sharing your story. Is you're freaking awesome. I really
Yeah.
do
Yes.
appreciate
You're very
time.
you're very
Yes. Appreciate it as well. I guess the last thing that I want to
good.
ask you is like, what do you want people to understand about you before they're so quick to judge?
But I'm human. I make mistakes,
Mm-hmm.
just like everybody. Um, and making mistakes doesn't make you a bad person. It makes you human.
Right.
And it's not
Exactly.
just the mistake, it's how you turn around and acknowledge it and try to make that right that
Right.
counts.
Right.
It's the follow through.
Mm-hmm.
It's respecting your apology by changing your behavior.
Mm.
Try
Accountability. Right.
absolutely, absolutely. And like, give people another chance when they deserve it. I mean, obviously you don't get unlimited chances, but I think it's important that people have an opportunity to come back from something. Addicts aren't all bad people. They're people who have been traumatized, mistreated, and lack resources. They're not bad people. They're somebody's brother, they're somebody's daughter, they're somebody's mom, they're somebody's sister. I mean, those people have value. And so I would just hope that people aren't quick to judge anybody because we're all so much more alike than we are different, you know?
Well,
It's
what
beautiful.
advice would you have for anyone watching this that probably, experienced the same things you experienced and they're trying to navigate that? And as well for the moms out there too, experiencing a transition and a change in life, just any advice you can leave for the people.
Well, I'll give you two. The first one being, it's like go to therapy. It's such overused, but think of therapy like this. If you went to Africa on a safari and you wanted to see lions and tigers and shit, would you like rent a Jeep yourself and just like head out to the hills? No, of course not. You would get a guide. You would get somebody familiar with the terrain that understands the migration patterns that can optimize your likelihood of seeing the animals and not getting eaten by them. So the same thing with your head. Think of your head like the safari. Like you're not just going to show up and like try to figure shit out. You need to talk to somebody who understands how the brain works, understands therapy, how to heal. Get someone to help you. They're not going to do the work for you, but they can guide you, set up some guardrails, and really point you in the right direction to get where you want to go. So, take down the stigma of therapy is only for crazy people. I mean, therapy is for everybody.
Right.
Everybody can improve. I think that's
100%.
huge. I think that's huge. And the other piece of advice I would say is just remember that this too shall pass. The bad things, even the good things,
Yeah.
hold on to this little extra and be grateful, because the good things pass too. But most importantly, don't let your brain like trick you into thinking the way you feel right now is the way you're always going to feel,
Yeah.
because you're not. You're not. You are going to feel better. Know it. Yeah.
I love that. Thank you so much. I really appreciate, you coming and speaking with us. It really means a lot. I'm very happy that you opened up. We got to learn more about your life, early childhood journey, TV, love life, public eye, all of those things. So I really appreciate your transparency
Yeah.
and your, ability to just really want to open up and be an open book for us. So thank you so much, Lannette. This whole interview and conversation was such a pleasure.
You're too kind. Thank you for having me, though. This has really been a joy. Y'all are great. Love you to death.
Appreciate
Thank
it.
you.
And I hope you enjoy New Orleans. When are you leaving again?
Monday, fly out Monday.
Okay. Got one more day there. You good?
Yeah. We can get some hurricanes or something in,
Yeah. Appreciate you taking the time. I know you with family and stuff like that, so it really does mean a lot.
It was my pleasure. This has been great. Thank you.
Yes. Well, have a good one, Lannette. Thank you so much for tuning into the Petty Headquarters podcast.
You have Instagram and stuff you want to shout out? Any projects or anything besides your Instagram? Nothing?
I figured.
Lannette.West. Yeah. I'm working on my website. My cousin's husband is gonna get it going for me. So at LannetteWest.com. So hopefully in the next couple of weeks, I might have some content up there. I'll be sure to link to your podcast.
Yeah, absolutely. Yes, absolutely. We'll definitely put that in there. That's awesome. I'm happy for you.
Thank you. It should be a fun project for sure.
Yes, definitely.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So with that being said, where can they find you, Jessie?
You guys can find me on Instagram. That's JESSI.Strange. And where can they find you, Tiana?
You guys can find me on Instagram at its.TianaLocke. You can find us on Instagram at
The Petty Headquarters.
YouTube at The Petty Headquarters. Patreon at The Petty Headquarters. We are on all podcast platforms at The Petty Headquarters. And with that being said, you guys, this was your weekly dose of mess.